Hi, my name is Josh France, and my presentation is called Food for Thought. The reason I called it Food for Thought is because I'm focusing on Parkinson's disease, or PD, and the research that or the article that I read speaks mostly about environmental factors of PD. But first, some background on PD. It's caused by the death of dopaminergic neurons in the basal ganglia of the brain. So this causes some symptoms: tremors, slowed movements, rigid muscles, stoop posture, and loss of unconscious movements. Now, all of these you'll be able to notice in this diagram with this man who's got this stooped posture. His hands are shaking, and even if they think about it, they still cannot control those tremors. The basal ganglia is a big part of Parkinson's disease, and knowing what is happening with the basal ganglia normally will help us understand the disease itself. So it sits on top of the midbrain right here. It controls voluntary motor movements, so it helps kind of inhibit signals and also allow signals to pass so that you can get those fine motor movements like with your fingers, writing, those kind of things, which become very difficult as PD progresses. What happens when PD becomes symptomatic and what's causing the symptoms lies within the neuron itself. So if we look at this diagram here, we can see there's this Lewy body within the soma of this neuron. This buildup of this Lewy body creates basically issues within the cell, and it causes a buildup of alpha-synuclein proteins to build up, and then eventually the cell dies. They're not really sure what causes this to happen, what creates this Lewy bodies to build up, and this alpha-synuclein proteins as well. But they believe that genetics can have a factor, but there's no sure sign of genetics as well, because they haven't been able to trace it in families as well either. Environmental factors, which we'll get into a few of them, could cause it, but still there's not one answer for what is causing Parkinson's disease. About 1 million Americans in the United States suffer from Parkinson's disease currently, and about 60,000 are diagnosed each year, which kind of gives to the importance of studying Parkinson's disease and maybe finding a cure or ways to treat it more appropriately. The research that I referenced was done at Paris University. The hypothesis was that Parkinson's begins in the GI tract before the neurons. What they did is they tested genetically modified mice. These mice would produce higher amounts of alpha-synuclein proteins and also be more susceptible to them. Then what they did is they injected alpha-synuclein protein into their intestines and then saw the results. What happened is after 2 months, they saw that in the brain and the heart, they began to see Lewy bodies building up in the neurons and the death of these neurons. After 4 months, they saw symptoms of Parkinson's disease in mice. What this led to is that, well, they have seen the alpha-synuclein proteins start to build up in the GI tract about 20 years before there are even symptoms in people, in humans. So this could lead to preventative medicine for these patients that suffer from PD. It could also mean that Parkinson's is not only a neuronal issue, but also a digestive tract. And what we eat could affect the brain. One issue with it is that Parkinson's disease does not show up in mice naturally, and alpha-synuclein proteins don't show up naturally, so it takes modifying. So there could be other organisms that could be better suited for this. And diet studies could be done, and biopsies to study what is in the future of this form of medicine.